Hey, everybody, welcome to day 4 of writing. And this is the last day I'll do a lesson. Tomorrow, you'll actually take a test in verbs and subjects and predicates. And so, this is my last day this week of showing you the good parts, the best parts, and all the parts of a sentence. All right, so I'm on the front page of my paper. I've put the date up. Today is 10/8/20, so that means it's Thursday. I have my holes on the left. I'm between the margins when I write. And now I'm going to start looking at the parts of the sentence. So looking at that picture down there was a lot of sentences that I could have written about that picture. I could have written about the pumpkins. I could have written about the little girl. I could have written about the field of pumpkins. I could write how in October pumpkins are they're becoming ripe. There are lots of different ways to write your sentence. But what I wrote was the little girl picked the perfect pumpkin. All right. So the very first thing I do is I identify my my subject, and that's going to be the little girl. That's my subject. Then I'm asking myself, okay, what's that little girl doing? Well, she picked. That is our action. All right. Then I know that everything after picked is usually the predicate. It's the who, what, when, where, why, or how. In this one, it's the what did she pick? What did she pick? A pumpkin, and it was the perfect pumpkin. So this is my predicate. Now remember that the next thing that we do is we look for the nouns in the sentence to see, because there's usually 2 to 3 nouns in a sentence. And we look to see if maybe we could put an adjective, a description word before it. A girl is my person. Okay, so I know that is, remember our nouns are people, places, animals, and things. And I know that the pumpkin is a thing. So I'm going to underline that. And then I ask myself, okay, did I describe the girl? Well, yes, I did. I told you the size of the girl. All right, so I did put an adjective there. And then I said, well, did I describe the pumpkin? Yes, I told you that it was the perfect pumpkin. All right. Now, I could have said the little girl picked the perfect orange pumpkin, but be careful that your adjectives make sense when you write your sentence, because some adjectives do not fit. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do and look for my capital letter at the beginning of my sentence. I'm going to ask myself, did I tell my reader I stopped? Because if you don't use a stopping point, then your reader just goes on and on and on and doesn't know. Those punctuation marks are like stop signs. You're either going to stop and make a statement, you're going to stop and ask a question, or you're going to be very excited and you're going to use an exclamation point. All right. Now, the very last thing that I do with this sentence is I read it to somebody. The little girl picked the perfect pumpkin. One thought, one sentence. I have all the parts. I'm ready to move on. Now, normally you would still be on the front page of your paper, but I'm doing this so that I have room to draw and stuff. You would skip a line and you would write your number 2 and you would go on. All right. Because really what we're trying to do is get you to see all the parts of a good sentence and write that way. All right. So let's go on to our next one. Whoa. All righty then. Mrs. Hicks is kind of scared of spiders. She has been since she was a little girl. So that's a pretty hard picture, difficult picture for me to look at. But I know it's not real, so I'm doing okay. All right, so I'm going to read my sentence. The dangerous spider crawled into the tennis shoe. All right, so I'm going to underline my subject, and I know that this whole sentence is about the spider, the dangerous spider. That's my subject. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what did the dangerous spider do? It crawled. Where did it crawl? Into the tennis shoe. the dangerous spider crawled into, oh, this is going to be interesting. Did you see what Mrs. Hicks did wrong right there? I bet some of you good writers caught it. But I'm not going to tell you right this second. I'm going to go on with my parts, okay? All right. Now what I do is, remember, I look for my nouns to see if I can put some color, size, shape, number words in. Spider is a creature. It's an animal. Shoe is a thing. All right. And I asked myself, did I describe the spider? Yes, I used one of your vocabulary words and I said it was a dangerous spider. So that adjective describes how it acts or how it is. Then I go to shoe and I said, did I describe the shoe? Yes, I did. I described it as a tennis shoe. So you have no doubt in your mind what kind of shoe it is. All right. Next thing I do is I go and I find my capital letter. I find and make sure I used a stopping mark. And now I read it out loud, and listen very carefully when I read it out loud. The dangerous spider crawled into tennis shoe. Did you see what I did? And I caught my mistake when I read it out loud. All right. I left out a word. So right here, I'm going to put a caret right there. It's called a caret. And I'm going to go, the dangerous spider crawled into the tennis shoe, or a tennis shoe. I made a mistake. So I left out a word. Now, I would not have caught that if I had not reread my writing out loud to somebody. And be careful and don't just read what you think is there. Read the actual words to somebody, because that's how you catch your mistakes. Because if I had turned that in without the, I would have got about a 2 on that. If I had had the there, the dangerous spider crawled into the tennis shoe, that would have been a great sentence and I would have got a 3 on it, which is where you want to be. Remember, 1, you're struggling a lot. 2, it's close. 3 is right where it should be. And 4 is wow. Whoa, Mrs. Hicks would have got a 2 on that because she left out a word. All right, let's look at our last sentence. The haunted house sat on the big hill. All right, let's look here and see what our subject is. The haunted house. What is the haunted house doing? Sitting, sat. All right, so it's past tense. Where is it sitting? On the big hill. So here's your predicate. Here's your subject. All right. Remember, your verb starts that predicate. All right. Now my next job is to find some nouns. So I know house is one. It's a place. It's a thing. I know the hill is one. Okay. It's a thing. It's a place. All right. And now I look for those descriptions. So did I use something that described house? Yeah. It's a haunted house. Did I do something to describe hill? Absolutely. It's a big hill. All right. Now remember that I look for my capital. I look for my stopping mark, my punctuation mark, to let my reader know that I'm done. And then I read it out loud to make sure, and I read each word. I don't just say my sentence, because then I won't catch my mistakes. The haunted house sat on the big hill. Beautiful. If you had turned that in to me using the 2 adjectives like that, that's a solid 3. All right, which means right where you need to be. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is day 4 of writing sentences. And tomorrow, when you open up your slides, you will be taking a test and writing wonderful sentences with all the parts, the subject, the predicate, maybe an adjective or two, maybe just one, a capital at the beginning, punctuation at the end, and your sentence makes perfect sense and it's one complete thought. Thanks for listening to me again, and have a good day.